All right, hello everyone. It's that time of the week again. Another edition of Hump Day with Bix Weir. I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. I've seen the list of topics that Bix is ready to discuss with us. It's a great list. Lots going on as always. So Bix, how are you?
I'm just crazy busy, but really, really good. I mean, I'm doing things I like to do, which is
Yeah.
for a living. That's an amazing accomplishment. I got a new coin I'm giving away with every Road to Roota private road subscription. Have you had a chance to look at that coin yet?
I think that you have shared that with us. Is that the one that you had minted or just in California that they've polished that up for you and everything?
Yep, yep. It's a double strike. If you go to RoadToRoota.com and you hit there's a subscribe today link at the top. It shows a picture of the coin. It's a double strike. It's got this kind of luster thing they put on it, all polished up. Every coin is numbered at the bottom on the outside rim. It's really cool. But I'm also giving away one PPT token, which is a populous token. They do invoice factoring, one of the most profitable industries in banking. And it's a new technology, blockchain technology, that's going to basically destroy the banking system's profits on that side, on the invoice factoring, because they were gouging people crazily. So yeah, I'm giving away that for every private road subscription. It's been crazy busy doing that.
Well, that's exciting. That's very exciting.
Did you see the picture there of the coin?
Yeah. It's gorgeous.
If you look right at the bottom, you can see where the numbering is stamped on it. It's really cool. And then you got the cave in the mountain of the secret gold in the Grand Canyon, and the Silver Brick Road, and the stars for the 12 branches of the Federal Reserve building with wings coming out like an eagle. I love that thing.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I can only imagine what it looks like in real, but it's a beautiful coin.
It is cool. I mean, I told them, do the best job you can, do anything and everything you can to this coin. So it cost me a lot per coin, but I am not selling these retail. And everybody keeps asking me, I want to buy 20 of them, 100 of them. Like, no. Only one way to get these coins, and that's by joining the private road on the Road to Roota. So there's information on the website about that.
Yeah, so for our listeners, and I do a desktop share and show you my screen, but I would probably mess something up and shut down the stream. I hate to touch anything once the stream's up, but anyway, yeah, it's a beautiful coin. So RoadToRoota.com. When you click on the join, it has the information right there. So yeah, so great job, man.
Yeah, I'm real excited about it, but it's keeping me busy, which is good, and it's getting the word out, because what I want to do with this coin is marry the silver stacker aspect with the cryptocurrency aspect. So I enclose one paper wallet token of Populous, and you can see on the website, you can see the case. It comes in a black case, and the silver's in a see-through plastic cover. And then you flip it open, and there's the one PPT token paper wallet right at the top of inside the case. So anybody who loves silver but hates the cryptos, this is your chance to get at least your foot in the door in the cryptos with some PPT.
Yeah, that's a great model. It's a great business. Yeah, I really like that a lot. And gosh, let me bring this up so we can walk through this. Let me see here.
And PPT is it's one of those tokens that isn't really traded on the big exchanges yet. There's a few of them, like Veritasium. They're not allowing to trade on a big exchange because it could basically destroy the exchanges, because it's an honest way of exchanging peer to peer, and they don't want to spread that word. So there's a lot there's a lot of shiftiness in the crypto world.
Right. So there you have it. You should be able to see it on your screen as well.
Oh yeah, Bix.
Cool. So our listeners in our YouTube channel, Facebook, and Periscope, the rest of them, I apologize. I'd have to get to two other keyboards to do it. But yeah, so for the YouTube listeners, you're getting able to to take a look at this beautiful coin and exactly what Bix just walked us through. So again, check that out, RoadToRoota.com. Very cool.
Yeah, and just hit the that subscribe today link at the top. It'll give you all the information on what the private road's all about. Yeah, it's cool. It's fun. You know, it's fun to make something, to create something out of nothing, and I just love doing that. And this thing turned out so cool. I'm real happy about it.
Well, I know you've been working very hard on it. I mean, the trips down to Southern California, you know, everything that's involved with it. But yeah, so congratulations.
Thank you. It turned out just the way I wanted it, and everybody's real excited about getting their hands on one. But no, I'm not selling it retail. I don't care how much money you offer me. It's all about scarcity. That's why I numbered each one.
So stop asking in the chat rooms.
Yes.
That is too funny.
Hey, truthfully, if you don't want to buy a private road membership, at some point these things will be trading on eBay like every other coin. So you can probably pick one up in a month or two, or probably 6 months, or maybe never if the RoadToRoota customers just love it so much they can't give it up.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm sure they'll end up there as well, like the comic books have. So
yeah, yeah, exactly. Those comic books are fetching a lot of money. But yeah, speaking of a lot of money, let's talk about Russia announced that they didn't announce. There's a company in Russia is opening $100 million Bitcoin mining operation, and the company is literally one of Putin's best friends, basically part of the Russian government. So I see this as the Russian government opening a $100 million Bitcoin mining operation. Such a big deal, such a gigantic deal. I've been saying it for a long time that all the people who were worried that Bitcoin miners would have too much control and they would collude and they get together and have 51% and destroy Bitcoin, all that stuff, I said that's not going to be possible, because the more and more Bitcoin gets accepted into circulation and accepted as a legitimate way to store wealth and as a means of exchange, the more and more big money people and big money countries will be mining Bitcoin for the very same reason as they don't want anybody else to get 51%. So I expect the United States to do the same thing at some point, probably $1 billion mining facility in the US. Really exciting. This is the first, soft link to a leader of a country to announce they're going knee deep into Bitcoin mining, and it opens up for the rest of cryptos too, because Putin met with Vitalik Buterin, the guy who invented Ethereum.
Was that like a month ago, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Putin knows exactly what's happening. The world is changing, and a new system is being set up as we speak. The old system of unbacked fiat money is going out the window. I'm hoping gold is involved in the new system. I doubt that silver will be involved, because I think silver will be way too valuable. But I definitely believe that the cryptocurrencies will be leading the charge in that area. And they are just such an amazing technology, so easy to use, and they inject truth and honesty into a system that is so beyond corrupt that when it crashes, nobody will trust the current monetary leaders to start a new system. Anybody saying that the special drawing rights of the IMF is going to take over has no clue what's going on, because they believe the old leaders will still be in charge. They won't be. They will be in jail if they are lucky.
Correct. And there are, the information has truly penetrated even some of the most staunch anti-Bitcoin, anti-cryptocurrency persons that are out there, where you're starting to see a lot of people kind of cross over, if you will, Bix. And that's something that, again, my biggest thing all along has been that there's room for both. I mean, if you think about the money that's in the banks, the IRAs, the pension, there's room for both the metals and the cryptocurrency. So you don't have to be a lover and hater of either one. Obviously do what you're comfortable with. But we're watching the cryptocurrencies basically tear down the system, everything from just its use, its ability to be transacted from across countries without SWIFT, with all these globalist things that have been in place for years. So this is a very exciting time to be witnessing this. I get excited reading articles when I see things like this, because this is very neat for Russia to come out. Dmitry Marinechev is launching this ICO.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's going to be an ICO. So, I think the ICO buyers get 18% of the company's mining revenue. I don't know if I'd invest in an ICO like that, because there's so much third-party risk. I mean, you're investing in the performance of a company in Russia. And to me, the cryptocurrencies are all about getting rid of the third party. I'm sure it'll do well. I'm sure a lot of Russians will invest in it, but I wouldn't invest in it just because I don't like the third party aspects of it. But there are other types of companies that I'm clearly relying on third parties to implement their business plan. So, am I comfortable with a company in Russia with the current situation with Putin and the people attacking Trump? No, I'm not comfortable in investing. I will be one day when these bad guys are taken out, but right now I wouldn't be too excited about that ICO. There's just so many other ICOs too. And
right, correct. Do you follow Max Kaiser at all?
Oh yeah, I love Max.
Max, yeah.
One thing before we get on to Max.
Yeah.
Here's something I wanted to ask people out there that I talked about in a video a couple days ago, and that is the gold and silver lovers who understand the need for gold and silver in a monetary system, understand that our current system of fiat money is massively corrupt. They have yet to come forward with a solution that makes sense on how to replace the old system with gold and silver without using third parties and without using derivatives. And I'm waiting on that person, the old-time staunch gold bug, like Chris Duane or Bill Murphy or anybody on the gold side, to raise their hand and say, oh, here's how it's going to work with the crashing of the old system and a new gold and silver monetary system. Because I don't see how that can work. We can't go back to using coins jingling in our pockets. And that's the only thing people would trust, truthfully. And we can't go back to a system that's backed by gold, because no one would trust the backers. That's a third-party risk. So I've yet to hear anybody explain to me how it will work. I think there'll be a store of value, potentially. But as far as use as a currency, used to replace the old monetary system, the unbacked fiat system, I don't see how it would work without derivatives of gold and silver being traded. And then we get into the same old problem of abuse by the third party and the financial viability of a third party.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
That's
I was going to say, that's a very valid point. I mean, who's going to own the checks and balances of their gold reserves? They're each own country. I mean,
well, exactly. These are the same people we don't trust already. I mean,
yeah.
So I mean, I've come a long way in my understanding of how a new system can start up, and it really gets down to trust. And the only thing you can trust is physical metal in your hand and the blockchain technology, as far as the competitors to take over from the old corrupt system. And physical metal in your hand is great, but the functionality of exchanging goods and services for physical metal in your hand, people have forgotten how to do that. They don't know. The majority of the population has no idea that gold and silver is so important, and it was important in the past. But I'm not convinced that well, silver will be important for industrial purposes. I'm not convinced that gold will be important in the future. There will be those holding on to it as legacy type asset, but I don't think it'll be used as a means of exchange. So yeah, I don't have a lot of hope for gold. Silver is a completely different story because there's so little of it, and it is absolutely necessary for all these new technologies coming on board. that I see silver going way past the price of gold on a monetary sense. Whether you measure that in US dollars or in Bitcoin, how many Bitcoin it takes to buy an ounce of silver type of thing.
Yeah, and there's some new breaking reports, and I think we're going to discuss it tomorrow on Rogue Mornings, but some medical things coming out in regarding gold and its properties to use to fight cancer.
Yeah, but I mean, when you look at the quantities of gold needed, I mean, there are technological reasons to have gold and industrial reasons. I mean, yeah, technological industrial reasons to hold gold as an industrial metal. And I would put any kind of medical advance into that realm. But I mean, I would assume whatever the medical advance is, it's going to use microparticles of gold. Right. So it's not really a demand driver.
Right. Do you remember that drink, Goldschlager? Did you ever have any Goldschlager?
It was no. Would I do something like that? I love Goldschlager. It was like what was that? Like a Red Hot?
Yeah.
It was kind of that flavor and a fire stick candy.
Yep.
Yeah, I have heard of it. I've never actually done Goldschlager shots, just like I've never done a Jaeger shot.
Yeah.
That stuff kills me. That's a blackout shot right there.
Jaeger will talk to you. That is for certain. So, but no, the only reason I mentioned, Max Keiser is because I did not know that he was such a Bitcoin. Apparently he has, has his own coin, and he's been actively involved for several years in the community. Yeah.
He's been knee deep in it, and a big advocate. He understood very early on what it meant, because he knew how corrupt the old system was, and the solutions were needed, and gold and silver didn't, it was okay as a solution, but it didn't quite fit the bill as a means of exchange globally. So yeah, Max has been a big proponent of Bitcoin, decentralized rule, cryptocurrencies in general, and yeah, he has his own coin.
Well, if you get a chance, if our listeners get a chance, there is a Keiser report, and Max happened to run into Peter Schiff at Freedom
Fest.
One. Yeah. Have you seen it? Have you
watched
it?
Peter, I can't believe his eyes are still closed to this. I mean, he's supposed to be a smart guy monetarily. He needs to explain to people how the gold and silver solution would work without third parties, without governments. I mean, it worked, for the past 5,000 years. Gold and silver have been used as money, but I would venture to say that, one, people went back to gold and silver because it was better than the other thing they were using. So nobody really abandoned gold and silver as money, even when the leaders outlawed it. Gold and silver was always there somewhere around the world, being used as money. But two, now there is a better solution in the cryptocurrencies that you can trust more than you can trust even gold and silver. So he doesn't get it. I don't think he'll ever get it. There's people like that, like Chris Duane, will never get why the cryptocurrencies are so important and will be utilized by humanity before silver ever gets used as a monetary instrument again.
Well, he openly admits it. I saw it yesterday on Facebook, but his quote unquote Max Keiser stopped by my booth at Freedom Fest. The conversation quickly turned to Bitcoin. Check out the comments. I'm too old and too dumb to get it.
He's not too old and too dumb. He's just, he's stuck in his ways. Just like a lot of the hardliners in gold and silver, they took a position. They heard about Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies very early on. They took a stance and a position on it. They did not tell their people to get into it. They held that stance and position. And it's one of those things where you get just so stubborn because you've told people no way, and you've explained to people why it wouldn't work without the full knowledge of what was going on. And then there's no way you can change back. So you just sit there and, you hold your line.
Yeah. I mean, I do have a question though. How would a gold or silver backed cryptocurrency work, Bix?
Well, see, you get in the same problem. You back anything with anything, and you've got third party risk. So a backed crypto, I don't think I think will be useless. Who would trust it? Who would trust the people doing the backing, holding the gold and silver trusting that it's been verified. Who's going to verify it? Deloitte and Touche? All the criminals from the past will verify that the COMEX metal is in there. So we're gonna slap a cryptocurrency on it and say, oh yeah, you can trust it because it's a cryptocurrency. No. And there's no reason to back gold and silver. Gold and silver have special places for special reasons. And if you understand those reasons, then you don't let anybody else hold your metal. And that's just a fact of how it's going to be. So a crypto-backed monetary system that is not redeemable on demand would be undoable. If it is redeemable, see, the cryptography adds a trustless system. It means you don't have to trust anybody or anything. You trust math. That's what you're trusting when you buy into a blockchain or a crypto type of company. Not all of them are like that. But if it is a true blockchain, true technology, you can't lie, you can't cheat, you can't steal. So if you can't lie, you can't cheat, and you can't steal, and then you inject it into like a warehouse that holds gold or people who are going to manage that, then you get the lying, cheating, and stealing on that end. So it's not a truly trustless system.
Right,
so
right.
Whether or not, will we? It really does get back to the concept of money. What is money, and why people have trusted gold and silver to be money after all these years. I would argue now, having understood the blockchain and Bitcoin technology, people understood gold and silver as money because it was the best thing and the closest thing to a perfect money, but it wasn't perfect. It was never perfect. And most monetary historians, gold monetary historians, will say, gold isn't perfect, but it's the best thing we have. Well, I would venture to say now that the blockchain and crypto technology has invented something that is better than gold and silver to be used as money, because it's a trustless system. You don't have to trust anybody. You don't have to trust the purity of the metal. You don't have to trust in the gold and silver. Yeah, you got to trust the purity of the market. You got to trust people to accept it. Right now, shop owners are accepting electronic debits and credits. They're not accepting gold and silver coin. So the question is, will a change in the system, the destruction of the old system due to the implosion of the derivatives and the banks go down, what will be accepted next? Will people be accepting gold and silver tokens or gold and silver coins as money? I don't know. It would take a lot of training for the majority of humanity to understand and accept that. Will they accept something like Bitcoin that has no government, corrupt government leader forcing them to accept it as money? You could just trust it based on the cryptography and the process of the blockchain that is fairly easy to explain. And as far as the user experience, you're doing the same thing. You're walking in with your debit card, your crypto debit card, your crypto cell phone, and you're buying something, and you're getting the transaction approved quickly if you're using Litecoin, and then you move on. And people do that right now with electronic fiat money. Why not do it with a more trustworthy type of money? And I think it'll be a much easier explanation for humanity.
Sure. Let me play devil's advocate for
Please do. Bring it on.
Bring it on. So in essence, in regards to that, who's maintaining the checks and balances? If there is a metals-backed Bitcoin, then how do we look at the perspective in terms of ICOs? I mean, because with the ICOs, they're not initially offering a coin that's based upon whether it's a service they're providing or a good. There may not be
the crypto metal-backed ICOs.
Well, no, just in terms of any ICO in general, that when someone does an ICO for a coin offering, that you can utilize that coin for services, for other items. There's no guarantees that come with that either, correct?
Right. Well, so, that is absolutely correct. The ICOs are promises that these coins will be used in the future. Most of them have, the new ones have companies that are being built. There was a reason for these ICOs. You look at a lot of the cryptocurrencies before the ICO market came in, they're all just, they were just making cryptocurrency to make cryptocurrency with their own little tweak behind it, like it's safer or it's more plentiful. And there hundreds have, maybe thousands have been invented, and thousands have disappeared on that type of thing. But these ICOs, which are backed by a business plan and an idea and a use for that currency or token that's being offered, those are the more interesting ones. You can do an ICO for anything. And
correct. Yes. Yeah. And outside of having to get
and they kind of are
investor status and all that.
Yeah, there's some companies that kind of are doing ICOs for anything. But it's just like the .com days. You can start up a .com anything. Will they survive? Most of them didn't. Back in the day when .com everything, pets.com, and the valuations were crazy. But then you have your Amazons and your Googles and your Facebooks and your Apple computer. All those survived and are the strongest companies in the world right now. You're going to see the same thing with the cryptocurrencies. There's going to be, most of these crypto ICOs are going to fail miserably, but you're going to have your Facebooks and your Googles and your Amazons and your Apples. So that's the key right now. If you're smart enough to pick the right token, pick the right company that's got the great idea and the smarts behind it, and have someone to analyze the code for you, unless you're crypto smart that way, you really can pick the home runs. Imagine being in Jobs' garage when he was inventing, him and Wozniak were inventing the first Apple computer, and saying, hey, I want to be an investor with you guys. What do I do? I'll give you $5,000 right now and to help build out this process. And you're all of a sudden, today, you'd be a multi-zillionaire. That's exactly what's going on with the blockchain technology companies today. Those companies that make it with the great idea and the great team behind it and the great code, they're going to be the Apple computers of the next 5 or 10 years. Yep.
And if you don't take a look at the cryptocurrencies, look at some of the hardware manufacturers, NVIDIA. It's incredible to look at their 1 year and even their 5-year growth for their stock. It's just unreal how much they've grown the last 5 years.
But the other thing that people need to remember is, not only is it a change in a technological change in the way people are going to be doing business, it's a change in one of the most important aspects of our lives, and that is a change in money. If you think about it, money hasn't changed since 1913, when the Federal Reserve was invented and created, and it really hasn't changed in the 100 and whatever that is, 105 years, 110 years, 5 years. Money hasn't changed, but everything else has. The way we do business, every which way has. But the biggest technological change in money is the creation of electronic money. But that electronic money is controlled by a central force, the Federal Reserve Bank and the member banks. They control, I would say debit cards and credit cards are a change, but everything else has pretty much stayed the same, which is crazy.
Yeah,
especially these days. And now with a decentralized form of money, it will give everything a run for its money, so to speak. And when you lay on top of that the final collapse and implosion of the banking system and the criminality that goes on, in 2008 it almost happened, but there was nothing to turn to except gold and silver. That's the only thing we could have turned to had Congress not bailed out AIG. That was basically it. And congressmen have even admitted we were hours away from the destruction of everything, because the derivatives are so pervasive amongst everything. Every bank in the United States would have imploded almost immediately. But now, if that happens, and the banks haven't fixed the problem, they just delayed the problem. But now, if that happens, we do have choices. Sure, you can go to gold and silver, and I'm sure gold and silver will go, limit up, and no one will be able to get their hands on any of it for any amount of money, because money won't be relevant. And if the banks crash, you're going to need something to transact business. You can either trust the old system by going to some kind of IMF deal, which I doubt anybody would, or you can throw all the people who were in charge of the old system in jail for their criminality and move to something else. And that something else will be Bitcoin and the blockchain technologies, this whole business environment that's growing up right next to our current system. and the transformation will not, it will be difficult, obviously, but won't be as hard, and as many millions of people won't die as they would have if the system was stopped in 2008.
Very exciting time indeed. Very exciting time. So with that, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk around the good guys and the bad guys with this whole nuclear
Jesus.
On North Korea and everything. Just kind of crazy right now.
Absolutely crazy. As far as from the RoadToRoota perspective, that's the perspective of there's a battle between the good guys and the bad guys behind the scenes, within the Treasury, within the Fed, within the deep state. I've been talking about this for since 2007, when I found the Fed comic books talking about the big people who will step on the little people. But the battles are raging. I still believe the good guys have the upper hand, and they won't allow a nuclear war. And the good guys have the power to stop that. But I think the potential for a smaller scale war is probably high. I wouldn't say likely. It's the only card the bad guys have left to play, and they've done it every time over the years. World War I, World War II. They start these wars, and right now with Trump, I would say the bad guys are probably going to pull a false flag at some point to try to goat Trump into launching a nuclear attack or something like that, or get the North Koreans to fire off some missiles. And I think we are being protected in some ways by anti-missile type of technology, either from this planet or not from this planet. So I don't think a nuclear war will be in the cards, but I do think the potential is there to at least get a fight for the control of America. I don't think there'll be a civil war, because I don't think anybody would have a reason to fight each other. There might be a civil war in that the people fight against the government. That's a potential.
Right.
And because I don't see the liberal left and the hard right really fighting each other. They really don't have much reason to fight against each other. Now, if they take out Trump, either through impeachment or through assassination, I think the good guys would declare war on the deep state and take him out immediately, as in license to kill type of thing.
Right.
Because there's a lot of special forces with the good guys trying to save our country. And I would see Congress and the exposing of all the secrets going on in Washington. And that's what the deep state is fighting right now, is the exposure of the pedophile stuff and all this criminality that's gone on over these past 50, 100 years. Once that gets exposed, if they take out Trump, that'll be exposed right away. They'll open up Uma Abedin's laptop and say, who wants to look at these videos of Clinton and Podesta and the Bush family doing unspeakable things. Then that's what would happen. So I don't think they're going to take Trump out. But anything is possible. And if they do take him out, either through assassination or through impeachment, I think the good guys will stop hiding behind the scenes and come and take out the bad guys militarily, by eliminating them one by one or as a group. A dump of all the laptop, Uma Abedin laptop, or that new guy, Debbie Wasserman Schultz's laptop that she tried to protect was the laptop of that embedded computer spy within the U.S. That guy Annan, whatever his name.
Yes, the brothers. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
right.
Apparently, it was just one of them. The whole family worked for the government, but only one was a computer expert.
Yep.
But they were all on the payroll. So yeah, it's bad, and I think Trump needs to pull that plug of the swamp, and he can do it at any moment. And it might be a WikiLeaks dump. WikiLeaks has held back so much information. They're trying to help with the smooth transition, but they have all the information on the Podesta brothers. And if you look at the John Podesta email dump, The dump starts on the very day Podesta gets back from Portugal after the kidnapping of that girl over there that him and his brother did. And there's only one reference to Podesta being in Portugal, but that's the day. The day he returns is the day that the emails start. So Julian Assange has all the emails on the pedophiles and the Podesta brothers and all that stuff, but they are choosing not to release it for some reason.
Right. Yeah. And I'm not a historian, but if you take a look at, I read you ever read a great article and you forget to bookmark it, then you can't find it again?
All the time, every day. And then you find it, you're like, oh, I'm saving this forever. And then you never look at it again.
Yeah. So I was very interested to learn about the history of currency, world reserve currency changes. And you're absolutely right. At every juncture that there's been a change in the paradigm, there has been either military escalation, some type of event that preludes or shortly after. So to think the next economic global crisis where the China and Russia has enough of the U.S. Currency and again just flipping away from the dollar, to think that nothing is going to happen at all, that would be almost absurd to think about it that way. There's going to be some type of event that is going to happen.
Well, yeah, the bad guys in the deep state that's what they're trying to do now with all this North Korea nuclear blah blah blah. I think the good guys have this under control, but I don't know. I think we're being protected nuclear from blowing each other to kingdom come, so I'm not worried about that. But yeah, that's always been what they've done. When they get in trouble monetarily, they divert the attention to a war and they set off a false flag to ensure that war happens. And that goes, every war since the invention of the Federal Reserve System. You could probably go back to, back to the Roman days, and you'll see that every war is behind the scenes. There's money masters pulling the strings of the sentiment. Why go to war? Who the hell cares what North Korea thinks about us? And why, when you understand that North Korea was set up by the Bush family to be their stronghold, and now that's the last one out there, then it starts making more sense that we're taking out the bad guys. I know, by the way, the boogeyman today is North Korea because that's the last stronghold of the bad guys. And it's scary, but at the same time, the takedown of the bad guys was never going to be smooth, 100% smooth. I always thought it would be better to pull the Band-Aid back when all there was gold and silver, because that was the only choices, to go to some kind of gold and silver standard. Although we'd still have to trust in government because they'd have to be the ones issuing it, because nobody has any gold and silver. And all the governments around the world would have to pull out their secret stashes of gold and silver, which they all have, especially the United States, massive amounts of gold, over 1 million tons of gold, according to my calculations. And we could pull that out and use it as day-to-day money if we wanted, along with the cryptos. But we'd have to train people about why gold and silver is a good money. And people don't care. They don't want to think that hard. They'll just say, hey, people are using Bitcoin over here. Why don't we go do that? And they'll probably not even Bitcoin anymore, because the Bitcoin core guys have locked Bitcoin up, so that it's too expensive and too slow. So I think Litecoin was going to be the call as far as day-to-day transactions. And they're going to have a lot of announcements coming up. Yeah. And if you look at the price of Litecoin versus the price, or the market cap of Litecoin versus the market cap of Bitcoin, you can easily see that Litecoin has a long way to go up, and with really no resistance until it gets to be a 4-to-1 relationship with Bitcoin, which right now is $600, $700, $800, and Litecoin is trading now at like $45. So that's a screaming buy, if you ask me.
Sure, yeah, that's very doable. So no, great points, and I agree in regards to I don't think we're going to see any type of a nuclear event with North Korea. They're already talking it back. Rex Tillerson is out there on the stump today, and hopefully level heads will prevail through that situation.
Yeah, I don't see any kind of nuclear exchange happening. And I mean, North Korea knows that if they fire a nuke off, the United States will just wipe the slate clean of North Korea. I mean, that's one of those things that's a mutual destruction, except they have no missiles that can reach the United States, and we have all the missiles pointed right at North Korea right now.
Right.
Not a good strategic move. But the guy's nuts, and the people who are telling him to do this are nuts. So we'll see what happens.
Exactly. All right, let's talk about Google's social manipulation and controversy.
Oh my God, Google is probably the worst company, right up there with JP Morgan. You do a Google search, and they have algorithms to train you on where to go. When the election was going on, if you say, how can I vote for every type of, how Google brings up suggestions? How do I vote for it? It all said Hillary Clinton. And then you even start typing Donald Trump, and it won't even say Donald Trump. Even if you put in, how do I vote for Donald Trump? It won't give you any suggestions. That was a classic thing during the voting. Now they own YouTube, and they're defunding everybody who disagrees with their leftist opinions. And now it's really getting into the guts of Google, where there's apparently, there was a memo floating around about how they're pro-diversity and stance on absolutely everything, with safe spaces at every corner, is a joke. And they end up firing the guy, and you can't voice any conservative opinions at Google. The company has the Google looking like the fools that they are. And I wish there was something easier to use. The funny thing is, when I was doing some research on this, I was trying to look up, the bad things that Google's done. And then I realized I'm doing it on Google. So of course nothing good's going to come up. Nothing bad's going to come up. I mean, we're just so entrained to use, we use a search engine. We don't think about the politics and the philosophy of the algorithms that were written to steer us in certain directions. It really is getting into that the 1984 world of a controlled way of thinking. And we all know the media is controlled by just a few people, but it's sad to see a company that showed so much promise for the freedom of America and the freedom of humanity to be in bed literally with the cabal of bad guys. Disappointing, but it's a company that is making its choices. Hopefully, at some point, we'll all have enough of it and boycott Google and all of Google's subsidiaries like YouTube and things like that.
Yeah, 1000%. When I started reading that and listening to the amount of personal attacks that were lodged against the gentleman that made the memo, and to openly see the rest of Google employees saying, we need to, find out the rest of these supporters, find out who these people are. I mean, it was just extremist, and here are the people that are preaching and wanting inclusion.
No, they don't want inclusion. They want inclusion as long as they agree with what's being included.
Correct.
So not inclusion.
So again, in terms of the Google, the company, you're correct. You take a look at everything they're into with the algorithms, the analytics, everything that's tied in, and the amount of information that they pump into social media with Facebook and everything. Yeah, it's just finding alternatives and disruptive software that's out there. I guess that one of the larger one is it DuckDuckGo?
I haven't really. I know there's a lot of crypto startups that are looking to displace the Google model, which is centralized control. But I haven't looked into it, and I should. I should be leading edge on that, but truthfully, I have no time.
Well, yeah, I mean, several years ago, I started flipping everything over, and I like the aspect of Google's technology. I like the fact that I can log into any tablet, any desktop, any laptop, any device about anywhere and log into Google, and I have all my apps, I have all my documents,
They
I
suck
have
you
all those
in.
tests.
They suck you in.
They do. Then I'm realizing that they have so much control of my life. If they ever lock me out of my Google stuff, I would be in trouble. But anyway, yeah. So very interesting, and we'll see what how that plays a part going into the midterms. If you take a look at what China is doing, some of these other countries in terms of giving everyone a social media score that's directly tied into your credit score to see if you're a good model citizen and all these things that they're starting to do. But it very interesting. So let's talk a little bit around silver
Oh
and
my God.
it's go for it.
Silver is literally on the brink of going ballistic as far as so big that it's going to destroy the comics and the LBMA, which is not a bad thing. They're two of the most criminal organizations in the world. The latest is the LBMA, the London Bullion Market Association, which is not an exchange, it's an association. And it has to be an association so that people don't really understand what's really going on there. They actually published an actual document claiming that they have 1 billion ounces of silver in inventory in London. Now, not owned by them, but owned by all the traders. So it's the traders reporting to the LBMA, but supposedly they have a little over 1 billion ounces of silver in London and claim that that's such a big amount that no one should question its legitimacy. Well, that number, 1 billion ounces. Now, mind you, the LBMA is supposed to be a physical silver market. And as a matter of fact, the CFTC in their investigations into silver, and all three of the conclusions said, well, the price matches the physical price, which is the price determined at the LBMA. So everywhere in the world, you'll hear them claim that they're a physical silver market. If you look at the average daily volume of trades, of silver trades at the LBMA, you'll come up with a number, an annual number of about 120 billion ounces of silver trades every year. And so they're claiming we have 1 billion ounces in inventory. And then you look at the inventory closer, and there's 400 million of those ounces are pledged to ETFs. So you really only have 600 million ounces of physical silver, and yet they claim that they trade at 120 or 130 billion ounces a year. And the way I get to that number, because you'll see that what they report as average daily volume, if you times it by 250 trading days, you're going to get like 35 to 40 billion ounces of silver traded every year. But the key to understanding that, which is still a crazy number based on the 600 million ounces they have in inventory.
Right. Yeah, it is.
It's still a crazy number, but the LBMA themselves in an article said, well, those are just net transfers. At the end of the day, all the traders net their transfers out. So the actual volume number is more than 3 times the average daily volume. That's where you get the 120 billion ounces of silver, which is such an insane amount of silver supposedly to be traded back and forth, or they call it transferring, to be transferred back and forth. So it is being exposed as the most criminal organization in the world. If you look at what would it take if you've got 600 million ounces in inventory right now at $17 silver, that's about $10 billion. $10 billion will take out the entire silver inventory of the world. And $10 billion, wow. Hedge funds sneeze $10 billion.
Right.
And that number is interesting too, because they're saying, the LBMA is saying it's 600 million ounces. That's the exact number that Ted Butler has figured out that JP Morgan holds. Wouldn't it be interesting if JP Morgan was the sole holder of the 600 million ounces of silver at the LBMA?
Oh dear God, I know. Gosh, wow.
It's crazy. It just understanding that so few big players are in this game.
Mm-hmm.
HSBC, JP Morgan, it's all done to control the price of silver to prolong the unbacked fiat monetary system. That's the only reason gold is manipulated, silver is manipulated, the dollar is manipulated, oil is manipulated, everything traded on exchange is manipulated to control the unbacked fiat monetary system just to keep it running a little bit longer.
Yeah, and it needs to come to an end. Absolutely.
Well, we're hoping it comes to an end. I mean, that's the whole RoadToRoota theory, and the what Ruta wrote in the sand in the original comic in 1981, the Federal Reserve Bank comic book. She wrote this economic formula called "On the Road to the Golden Age," which said if you want to return to a gold standard from an unbacked fiat monetary system, the best thing to do is print as much money as possible, print it to infinity, and control the system as long as you can, which is what Alan Greenspan did with his first computer programs, until the world can't take it anymore, and then you implode the system. I think we're near that because the U.S. is losing the advantage. As long as unbacked fiat money is to our advantage, we're gonna run it as long as possible. But right now, China and Russia and all our enemies supposedly are sucking up all the benefits of us running the system. They're getting all the jobs. They're taking all the natural resources. They're making all the friends that we're losing. So yeah, I think we're nearing the end of that game, and it'll be interesting how it all plays out.
Definitely. Yes, we're becoming very isolated on the world stage with the sanctions, with all the actions that our Congress and Senate have done the last couple of years. Great insight, Bix. Any closing thoughts, or you want? I know we plugged it earlier, but if you want to plug it again, that would be great.
Go check out that coin. Go look at the coin at RoadToRoota. You're gonna love it. It's really cool, and if you understand the RoadToRoota, the information, it's all portrayed there, right on the coin, the Grand Canyon gold, and all that fun stuff.
Very cool. Bix Weir, everyone, and that concludes Hump Day. And I'm trying to think, do we have anything else for us to say? That's it for today, and we'll be back tomorrow morning with Rogue Mornings. And we will not be having Hang with Harley on Thursday. Harley is not available, but we do have a surprise interview that we will be releasing tomorrow afternoon. This is CJ and Bix. We're over and out.